Today we are going to learn JavaScript crash course. JavaScript is very easy, and once you practice maybe for 2 weeks, you can code anything in JavaScript. And for your own information, JavaScript is used everywhere in this world. So the browser that you have on your PCs, it has got a JavaScript engine. All the websites you see around the world, they run on JavaScript. So it's everywhere, and JavaScript can be used to to develop games, to develop systems that you see to run maybe machines. You can use JavaScript to code applications. So JavaScript is everywhere. If you want to have to land a job that maybe in digital technologies out there, you have to learn JavaScript. So this is a go-to programming languages if you want to catch up with the world. So on my screen, I have just opened my VS Code with a folder. So it's an empty folder. We are going to start together how we can write JavaScript. And you can see on this folder, we do have on this folder, we have nothing. And to the left side, that's where we're going to preview our section, writing JavaScript. So this lesson is exclusive with JavaScript. So first of all, since we are learning JavaScript, to embed it in our HTML, we'll create an HTML file called index.html. Once we do that, we'll create the boilerplate of HTML. So as I said before, we have learned that if we want to write first boilerplate of HTML, we just need to write an exclamation mark and place tab. So this is our boilerplate of HTML. So it's a simple document that we have learned so far. So if you want to preview this document on our file, we just need to click the file, right click, open it with Live Server. So we learned how to install Live Server in our previous classes. So there is a window here that we have opened. So this window is previewing our document. We can write maybe we can write a HTML words or any dummy words in this section to just test if our page is working. So if I write hello world and click save, you can see that we do have an output, meaning to say our page is working, it has linked. So since this class is exclusive to JavaScript, we are going to head into JavaScript. However, we will learn how to embed JavaScript in HTML. So there are two ways we can do that. The first way is to embed it in the body tag. So in order to embed JavaScript in this body tag, we'll write script, meaning JavaScript is a short form. We write script. There is a method in JavaScript which is already embedded called alert. And we can write text in this alert, maybe hello world, the most popular text. Once we do this, we click save, and you can see that we do have an output, and there's a pop-up window in our browser saying hello world. So I think you have ever seen these pop-out windows in most websites out there. It's just this JavaScript method that is already embedded in this section. So in order to do that, you can actually, in order to remove this alert, you can just press OK and it will go away. So what does it mean when we write array in this script format? It means once our page is loaded, it's going to lead this script. So a script is something which does the work automatically. So once the page is has finished loading, it's going to learn this script. And once you do this, the alert function, it will pop up in your window. So you can do, you can actually code JavaScript code in this way, but the best way to do, to actually work with JavaScript code is to use, to code JavaScript from a separate file. So that is a professional way of doing so. So in order to code JavaScript from a separate file, we'll go to our folder and create a file for our JavaScript. So I can just write index.js. So JS, it is the file extension for our JavaScript. Once we do this, we can actually place in the alert function and put hello world in this function. Save. Once we do, we saved that function, we'll delete this script and call our JavaScript file from a separate place. So in order to do that, we will write a script with src, meaning source. So follow the same criteria that I've light here. So we have a script. Inside that first tag of script, we have src equal to, you put the source of the JavaScript file. So since our JavaScript file is in the same folder, we don't have to put the directory of that JavaScript file. We can just write index.js and click save. Once I click save, you are seeing that the page has the same features as the one we have written before. So you can see that we do have the pop-up window of alert, but however, this time we have written alert in a separate file. So this is a professional way you can call JavaScript, and every other professional programmer uses this way in order to have functionalities from different folders. So our JavaScript, from now, we are going to write it in the separate folder. So there is something that I want to show you as we are working with JavaScript. You can see that our page is still loading. Since our JavaScript code is in the body tag of our HTML document. So what it means is that the document will load, we will continue loading until you press OK. So once you press OK, you are going to move out and finish the page loading of our web document. There are other ways that you can do this. So there are advanced ways of JavaScript. We call them async await. So we do have asynchronous JavaScript that helps us to finish loading, but still JavaScript working on our page. So on those areas, those are advanced areas that we may take a look at them later on. But since we are starting learning JavaScript from scratch, let us focus on that today. So there is a way whereby you can test your JavaScript code in the browser itself. And trust me, your browser that you have in your computer, it may be 80% enough to learn JavaScript. There is a JavaScript engine running on your browser. So we do have a V8 engine running in Google Chrome. We do have SpiderMonkey running in Firefox, and so forth. So every browser that you see in a computer, it has got a JavaScript engine. So in order to inspect your JavaScript engine, you go to your browser. So I'm using Chromium from Microsoft. It's the same as with Google Chrome, but I encourage you to use Google Chrome because it has got some other features. So when I am using when I want to inspect my code with Java, to check my JavaScript code, what I will need to do is to go on the page, right click, and go to inspect. Once I do that, there is a window here called console. So console is just like a terminal of JavaScript in the browser. So all these that we are seeing here, the first thing, so those are HTML elements. We have already taken a look. We have already taken a look on that before. So if we go on console, you can see that there is a terminal, like a window. In this terminal, you can write maybe the alert function. So alert function, you can put the alerts, maybe the text that you want to put here. Once you do that and click enter, you can see that we do have the same functionality as coding in VS Code. So your browser, it has got the window to interpret JavaScript whenever it's loading on each and every page. So once you do that, it goes off. So maybe we want to test our JavaScript code in our browser, but we are working in VS Code. There is a function called console.log. So remember, we are working in the console on our browser. So in order to check if something is working, and this is very important when troubleshooting your code, maybe we do have a word here, maybe hello world, and click save. Once I click save, you can witness that the hello world statement has appeared in my console window on my browser. So you can use this feature in order to actually test your code, and this is very important when working with your website. You want to test if there are errors. Maybe you are thinking that you can expect an error on some other place. You can do this, and most browsers, most web pages, they have this feature installed, and they can check where there is an error in their page. So we are going to use this console.log function in JavaScript to check the outputs of our code. So in order to comment out the code that I am working here, we actually told each other the shortcut is to highlight the text and press Ctrl// and that is done. You have commented out the code that you are working with, and your interpreter is not going to execute this code because you have commented it out. So let us learn variables and constants in JavaScript. So we're going to learn variables and constants. What are variables and what are constants in JavaScript? So I will just be giving you short forms of these terminologies. Variables are containers that you keep your information. And constants are the same, but however, you cannot change them. So in JavaScript, in order to write a variable, we just place the name let. So before you didn't have to say name. It works the same, but I do not recommend this word because it's outdated. But this time around, you just need to write let and give the variable name, maybe age is equal to 25. So you can be done by just leaving it here, but it's a good practice and recommended that you should put semicolon at the end of your statement that you have written. Why? Because the interpreter is able to understand the line of code yako yathera pamene papa. So make sure that you put semicolon at the end of each and every code that you have executed. It's a good practice. So let us continue. Once we place let, we can console.log in our browser. So I am using an AI called Tab 9. I always say it's a good AI. I'm using the free version. You can install that in the extension. You can see that it's auto-completing my code. It's very good and very efficient when working with your code in JavaScript. So make sure you install this one. you are going to code to program your websites or any application you are working with as fast as possible and deliver it to your clients. So once I have written this code, age is equal to 25, let age is equal to 25, console.log age, you can see there is a plus sign here. That plus sign is called concatenation, meaning to say we are adding two things at once in order to output them. So you can see there is a string here called the age, colon, and space. So you have quotes here in order to make sure that you are emphasizing that you are working with strings, and plus the age variable. So once we do this, control save, and you can see that our console is outputting age is equal to 25. That means we are good to go. And let us maybe change the age, because let can help you to change the age. Can help you to change the age, but however can let you to modify the variable that you're working with. So I can now say age is equal to maybe 30, semicolon, and let us console.log and make sure you witness the change here. You can see it's the same code that I've written in the console.log. Once I have clicked control save, control S, you can see that now age has changed to 30. Let us change this late to const and click save. You can witness that now we are having an error. Why? Because assignment to constant variable at index, there is an error here, type error. So you can check the file that you are working with. So we have a file at line number 9 and the line number 9 at text number 5. So you can check these out in this section. So you are seeing that const cannot be changed, but late can be changed. So there are two declaration of variables in JavaScript, late and const, and that's all. And this is a good practice that you write these words just like that. So let us learn a little bit on data types. Let us learn a little bit on data types. So what are data types that are available in JavaScript? So we do have numbers. So we have number types. So number types are just 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5, 6. Any number that you put in JavaScript is a data type. However, I can actually say that JavaScript is a loosely typed language or a dynamic language. What do I mean by that? When we say a loosely typed or dynamic language, it actually determines the data type that you are working with during execution. So you don't have to put like maybe you are working with Boolean, or not Boolean, but double or float or integer. So you have to declare that this is an integer number or Boolean. JavaScript does that for you already. So you don't have to waste time to actually declare that in JavaScript. The second data type we have is called Boolean. So Boolean, what it means is true or false statements. So these are very important in executing a certain type of code in your JavaScript. So you only work with the true or false statements. So if something is true or something is false, that is a Boolean. Another type we have is called, we do have null types. So we do have null types. So null types, they are explicitly set at a variable. That means it's a variable with no type. So it doesn't have any type, so you declare that to be null, meaning to say you don't know the type of the variable. So these are very important when getting information from a user that you don't know the type. So it's called a null variable. Maybe they did not put anything in that box that maybe you have prompted them to put. So your database cannot predict what type of variable is that. An empty thing, it doesn't have a variable. So you make sure that if someone doesn't put anything, you explicitly say that that is null. Next up, we have string types. So strings, we have already worked with the string before. Hello world is a string. Any string, so any word or statement that you put in JavaScript, it's called a string. Another type we have is undefined. So undefined is a variable that has not yet been defined. So for example, I can just light maybe let name. I can just light name a with name without any without giving anything here. It's called undefined. Let me save this and take a look at the console. I can just light name. And you can see that we have undefined because we do not put anything initializing the name variable. So it's called undefined. So anything you haven't defined here in JavaScript is called any variable that you haven't defined in JavaScript is undefined. So as the name suggests. So make sure you actually know these variables. We do have another data type called object. So objects are very important. If we do have some people here that are working maybe with working with applications or systems to deal with information. So we do have people maybe in informatics. They have to know what objects are. So these are complex data structures. So on objects, we do have arrays, we do have dates, literals, and so forth. So these are objects that we will take a look maybe later on in JavaScript, but we'll not go much on objects because that is a complex thing, and every enterprise system has got objects to work around. So there are arrays, dates, and literals in JavaScript as well. And for your own information, a JavaScript is an object type language. It's not object oriented as such, but it's object type language. Anything in JavaScript, it's an object. How do I know? Have you seen here in the name, in the console, we do have a name variable. We have declared this name as a variable, but do you know that this name is an object? Meaning to say it has got functions inside it. We can light dot, and we do have maybe, we can light to uppercase. Okay, let me just put name dot width is equal to maybe string here, maybe hi, and click save. Here, once we light name, we can press dot, and have you seen that? Name dot, it has got functions inside that variable, meaning to say everything in JavaScript, it's an object. And that's very important. Why? Because it gives us more functionalities. Someone somewhere else anakoda JavaScript kutikira kale ma functionalities oti ife sitikuyenera so kukoda zambiri yayi. So I can just write to uppercase here a function. Have you seen the string that I've written here called hi? It's in lowercase. I will just write to uppercase and press enter. We do have I'll just write uppercase, press enter, and then write name here is equal to let me console.log. Okay, let me write it in the VS Code so that we can have much functionality. I can write console.log here, name to uppercase, just like that. Console.log to uppercase. So let me clear this one out. Console.log name to uppercase. Click save here. You can see that my console has converted the name to uppercase in my my output is high in uppercase, meaning to say someone has already coded this function in JavaScript to ease our work. So JavaScript has many functions that we can work with that we don't have to code by hand ourselves. So let us finish with symbol as an object data type. So we do have symbols. So symbols are just types that work with objects, and we can take a look at them later on. So this is a new thing in JavaScript. We can take a look at them later on in when we are coding our final exercise to come up with a website. So just take in mind that come up with a project that you are working with. We can work together to come up with a website so that you can learn how to build a website later on. So let us take a look at strings in JavaScript, working with strings. So let me write a comment, working with strings in JavaScript. So strings are just statements that we can write in JavaScript. So for example, let me say let message is equal to not hello world. We are used to hello world. Maybe message is equal to hi, my name is Alinafe. Just like that. So let us comment out this. All right. So once we do this, let me clear my console here. Okay. Once we do this, let message is equal to hi, my name is Alinafe. I can actually concatenate the message with another thing as well. So maybe let me remove this section. Maybe my name is, I can just write maybe let my name. So I'm using camel casing in coding my JavaScript. So I can just write Alinafe here. So in order to concatenate, meaning to say to add two different variables together, what I can do is to write maybe write another variable, maybe full name, and in that full name I can just write message plus, then you put a space and plus my name. Once you do this, I need to put camel casing. Once you do this, what you have done is to concatenate two variables at once and putting them in the variable called full name. So in order to see the result, I will just console.log full name and press save, and you can see on my console to the right side that I do have the whole statement say hi, my name is Alinafe. So that's how you can concatenate this section. Maybe you want to check the number of letters that you have put in the statement. What you need to do is to write dot length. So you can explore these methods that are available in JavaScript. I'll actually share you with documentation of JavaScript and play around with these methods. There are a lot of them to ease your work. So they don't complicate things much, but they ease your work in JavaScript. So you can press Ctrl S, and you can see I do have 23 letters in my statement called my name is Alinafe. So maybe I also want to change this statement to uppercase. I can do that in my console.log. So I can write here console.log full name dot to uppercase. So this is a function. That's why you can see I do have opening and closing brackets here. Once you do this, click Control S to save. You can see that it has converted my letters into uppercase. So that's all we need to know on strings when working with strings in this course. There are a lot of things that you can do working with strings or using the bracket notation to scrap out letters from the whole string, or to check the index of a certain letter in the string. You can do that later on. So welcome to another session of JavaScript. So we are finishing this section, and we will not take much of the time. We are finishing this section with loops and functions. So let me comment this passage that we're working with so that we can have a clean page to start learning the next phase of our JavaScript crash course. So the first loop that we want to have is for loop. However, I want to actually give you a brief of what loops are. So loops actually give you the functionality to repeat a task or to do repetitive task in your program. So for example, if you want to display something, you cannot just display it. For example, you can do maybe console.log maybe you want to do console.log 1, 2, or 3. You want to maybe do console.log maybe a number from 1 to 10. So you can't do that in your code. Maybe I want to do console.log here 2 or 3 and so forth. You don't do that in this in JavaScript when you have loops. So loops helps us to do a repetitive code in JavaScript. So let me delete this section and learn what for loops are. So for example, let me say I do have this for loop. So this is how a for loop is written. So I do have parameters that are inside the for loop. So the first parameter is an I. So an I is an index, or in some other programming, they will say a counter. So why do we write an I here? You can see that our I code index is equal to 0. So this is the first point where we want to start iterating our code, or to start executing our code. So we start at the index 0. Then we do have a semicolon, and after that semicolon, we do have an I less than 10. So we want to repeat our code less than 10 times. But however, we want our I, or our index, to increase at each and every iteration so that it can break the execution of our code. In order to do that, we increase the value of our I. So in order to increase it, we write I plus plus. In JavaScript, this is called arithmetic operators. So we are increasing this value by 1. So by a single increment, that means if this is 0, next iteration is going to be 1. Then we have curly brackets. Inside that curly brackets, we call them blocks. So inside that curly brackets, we want to put the code that we want to execute. In this case, we have an I. So remember, last time we learned about concatenation. We can just say, we can just write the number is, put a plus sign, then I. Let us click Control S and check out from on the console. We have our code here. So you didn't need to write console.log 10 times. You just need to put a for loop and is your work. So do have the number is 0, 1, 2, 3 up to 9 as declared in this code that we have here. So that's how you write your for loop in JavaScript. So you can you can actually do some practice on how you can do that in on your own time. Next up, we do have while loops. So while loops. On while loops, what we are saying is I want to execute a certain code while a certain condition is true. Once it's not true, I want to break out from that code. So it keeps on checking, and whilst that condition is false, I want to break out from that condition. So in order to do that, first of all, you declare an index. So let us declare an index. So let's say our index is 0. Once we do that, we will start our while loop. So our while loop looks like this. So we do have our while loop, maybe let I is equal to 0, semicolon. That is our index. So our index is always needed in order to check the condition of our while loop. So in order to write our while loop, you write while as a keyword, bracket, your index less than, if you are checking a number less, an index less than a certain value, less than, close bracket, and curly brackets. Inside that block in the curly brackets, you write your code to check. But there is something here that we need to put in our minds. So you can see that inside we can put the same code that we put in the for loop. So we did had for console.log, the number is plus I concatenating. However, our incrementation of the index, we have put it inside the block in order to check the condition, because the way our while loop works is that it executes this function, the next, and it will check the it will start iterating at the beginning and check the condition here and iterate it. If we did not put the I here, increment the I here, our code, since it's always coming true here, it will execute this code up until forever and break our system, since it will overload the values that we have put. We are executing it in our memory. So we don't want that. We want to increment the index until it breaks the condition in our code. So when we do this, we can just click Control S. We can just press Control S here in order to execute our code. So our code is I when I is less than 10 here. So let us check what's happening here. So I is less than 10 and execute our code. Let me see. We do need to see the results. Right. So I is equal to 0. I console.log, the number is I, and increase. Let me close this window and restart it again because I don't know why it's misbehaving. Yeah, now we are good to go. Our server wasn't working, so we just need to restart it. You can see that it has reloaded our values. So you can see it has displayed the console.log up to 9th number. So it has started from 0 up to the 9th, and it's doing our job that we intended to do. So our while loop is working. If you have ever experienced this error before, you just need to restart your server. Some other times your server can have problems when loading the page. So we are done with while loop. The next loop that we do have is called do while loop. So it does something, then it checks the condition. That's a basic definition of do while loop. So in order to actually execute a do while loop, what you need is to have a keyword called do and a block of statement. So put the same code before. So I forgot to put something called the index. So put the index starting from 0. Then you do here, you check the condition by a keyword called while. So why is the difference between while and do while loop? So in this case, it depends on the situation that you are using. But the basic meaning is while loop will execute this function. It executes this function when the conditions are true. So it will execute this function and it checks again here. If the condition is true, execute checks again here. So it makes sure that it checks the condition first and execute the function. So you cannot execute this function without checking here. This is the reason why the do while loop is not mostly used in most programming softwares out there. Why? Because it doesn't bring abstractions. It executes the function, the functions, then it checks the parameters. This is not good practice in most softwares because you need security by checking if something is true, then executing it. But in do while, it executes first, then checks if something is true. So basically, it depends on the situation that you are working with. But this time around, we'll just learn how we can implement it. So I'll click Control S, and you can see that on my console window, it has actually do the same. It has executed and it checks the parameters. So it depends on the criteria that you are working with. So basically, these are 3 most popular loops in JavaScript. There are some other control flows like loops that are available. We do have the switch statements. We do have the for each loop. Those ones, I'm not going to teach them right now in this course because they are very advanced and they require people that have experience in JavaScript. But however, you can achieve the same output with these for loops right here. Next up, let us go to if statements. So if statements, they are very simple. Very simple statements. So these are conditional statements. They check if something is true, execute it. If you force execute another thing, that's all you need to know. So for example, if I say if, all right, let me just put a certain variable, put it to a certain Boolean variable, set it to true. So let me just say set it to true. Maybe maybe I'll just write is checked to true, not false, but to true, and put an if statement. So I can just say if is checked. I want you to check something here. I will write this one and I'll write another example so that we can have two examples of our if statement. So if you can take a look at this code that I've written here, I'm declaring a variable called let is checked is equal to true. So if I'm checking something is equal to true, I have written here, I've declared it to true, then I'm checking it. If is checked, the way I've written here, I can write it like this. I can write it like this. It's the same way, but we are programmers. We want short writing things fast. We can remove this code is equal to true, because in that way you are checking if this is equal to true. But I can just write is checked. By this, I've written here is checked. I've written here as declaring it to check if it is true. Or when I want to check if it is false, I'll just write exclamation mark and I'll check if it is false. So let me just delete the exclamation mark and put is checked if it equals to true. And click Control S. You're going to see that my output here is yes, because is checked is equal to true. If is checked is equal to false, Control S, you can see that there is nothing on the console. I can put another code block saying that if is checked is equal to false, I want to also to write a certain thing after that. If it is not equal to true, I want also to show that. So I can just write else, a keyword, and console.log no, just like this one. So if we click here, you can see that we have an output code no. So that means nobody didn't check something here. So if it is your user, I did not check something at the output. So I can put the exclamation mark to say that it's false and click save. So you can see that the output is yes, meaning to say someone has checked. So this is the first section, and another example of if statement. We can write maybe age is equal to maybe 18, and I can check if my user's age is equal to 18. So in order to do that, I cannot put a single equal to sign. Why? Because single equal to sign in JavaScript means assignment operator. So you are assigning something to the word age. But if you put another equal to sign, means you are comparing things. So it means the value in the age I'm comparing with the word 18. If they are equal, that means it's true. Execute the code below that. Or if it is not equal to true, execute code after else statement. If you put another equal to sign, you are not wrong. But what you are trying to say is you are explicitly saying that age should be exactly equal to 18. That's the good thing about JavaScript. When you put 3 equal to sign. So I recommend you put 3 equal to sign to make sure that you have 0 errors when you deploy your code in the production line. So we can check this one, or else if it is not equal to 18, we can just say no here. So remember, these are simple examples. You can practice in your own time. So let me comment the code that we had above. Press Ctrl S to save. You can see that yes, 18 is age is equal to 18. If not, in order to write the not statement here, we can put exclamation mark is not equal to 18. So if it is age, if it is not equal to 18, we can actually place Ctrl S. So you can see that I'm saying age is not equal to 18. If it is not equal to 18, place. So you can see that it's executing the other code here, meaning to say no. So age akakuti sali 18, place the else block statement. So you can do that in JavaScript. So that's how you can write if statements. Practice on your own time. I'll actually send this document on Discord. So make sure that you reference it and practice it as much as possible. If you have any questions, make sure that you link me in Discord. I am very excited to work with you and to work together on these trainings. So last section, we need to learn on functions. So functions in JavaScript. So functions are just a block of code that we want to execute maybe multiple times, or to disintegrate, or to, I can just say, to explicitly emphasize a certain functionality in your JavaScript code. So what we are doing above here, we are just writing the code in a structured format, but maybe we want to have a certain functionality that it's going to be specific in your JavaScript code. For example, maybe adding two numbers, or doing a certain math problem, or maybe you want to greet someone in your code. So you don't have to do to actually place the console.log hello every time. What you need to do is to create a function that does that for you, and you can use that function on different areas of your code. So to write a function in JavaScript, you need to put a keyword called function, then the name of your function. Maybe we want to greet someone, so we can just greet. Then you put open and close brackets. Those open and close brackets, they accept arguments or parameters in your code. So if you want to put in parameters in your code, you can actually do that in JavaScript. And put curly brackets, opening and curly brackets. So in this case, in these curly brackets, you can put the code that you want to do in JavaScript. So for example, we are prompted here with console.log hello world. So in this case, we have declared our code in JavaScript, our function in JavaScript. So if I click Control S, nothing is going to happen, because this function needs to be called or to be invoked so that it should work. In order to do that, you write greet here, opening and closing brackets. Remember, we are closing these our statements with a semicolon, but when you are declaring your function, you don't need to do that here. Once you do this, press Ctrl S to save, and here we go. We are seeing the results of our code in our function in JavaScript. So I can call this function how many times I want. I can use this function how many times I want, and click Ctrl S. You can see it's the same output in JavaScript. So that's the importance of functions in programming. So there is another way of coding a function, which is very, very recommended in JavaScript right now. So you need to put what we call function expression. What does it mean? It means you take that function, you assign it to a variable, and you can use that variable in different areas of your code. So for example, let me put a function expression. I just write speak and is equal to a function. In that function, take a look on how we are writing this function. Function opening brackets and curly brackets, just like this one, and put maybe hello world. All right, and put hello world, maybe not hello world. You can just say hello there. just like this. So you can see there's a difference between this function above here and this lower function. So we call it function expression. Function expression. So we call them function expression. So if we click here, you are seeing the greet statement. Let us comment this one. So you are seeing the greet statement, but we have commented it, so there's nothing here. But in order to call the function expression, I want to actually show you something, a tricky way, and why this function expression is very important as a program. You're going to see that if we actually call our function or invoke our function, click save, our function will appear in our expression. But however, if I want to actually call this function expression above the expression that we do have here, so maybe we want to say speak above the function expression, click Control S, you're going to see that there is an error here. What does that error say? Reference error, cannot access speak before initialization. So this is very important when working with your system that you are building or an application. Why is that the case? It's important that you know how to actually code errors in your system. Because if you know how to fix errors, you are a very important programmer, and most companies, they will look out for you. Because error handling in every programming language is a priority. So different companies out there, they are requiring people that knows error handling. And you can see here that in this case, you will be forced, or it's going to be compulsory for you to declare the functions above the code, then work with the functions, or call the functions below the function declaration above it. So it's very important to use function expression rather than just declaring a function like this. So if we go here and write speak, it's going to do the same. However, if you are saying that I want to add dynamic content to my function, you can do that. So you can add, for example, a parameter here called name, and you can add a parameter here, and we can just add maybe a message. In this console.log, what we can do is to add maybe the message and concatenate. So in order to concatenate, we say we are going to put plus and quotes with a space and name here. So let us say maybe we do have variables that we have taken maybe from database. So maybe name variable we do have is equal to maybe my name or nothing, and just like that. And we do have a message, so we do have a message, maybe hello, my name is, you put curly brackets, and just like that. You have just put two variables, my name is space, and you close the quotes. So I have written these ones here. If I go down here and hover added my function, there is something here that we are seeing. VS Code is very intelligent to actually prompt us to show us the features or the prompts from our function that we're working with. If we just hover the speak function when we are calling it, you're going to see that it's expecting us two parameters. We have the name parameter and the message parameter. So you're going to see JavaScript is very intelligent. You're going to see that it's saying any and any. So it expects anything from you. And You don't have to actually put integers when we declare integers. I've already said that JavaScript is loosely typed. It accepts anything, and it's at the back end, it's able to determine the data type that you are working with. So in this case, I can just write name and message. Once we do that, I can just click Control S, and you'll be able to get the output. Hello, my name is Alinafe. So that's how you can write JavaScript in this way using functions. And you can see it's actually you can see that it's actually putting a strike through the word name. The reason behind it because it's prompting me that this name is generic. I cannot use something like this in my code. So make sure that you are putting meaningful variable names in your code. So anyway, this is what I had for you in today's session on web designing and development. The next phase, that's when we are going to learn about the DOM. So on inside of the DOM, that's where we can actually manipulate components on our web page and verify our input from the user. So we have this reward activity where we can verify the inputs from our user. But I am actually advising you to practice a lot. Trust me, you can put this in your resume that you know something. And I always say, jobs right now, they don't require people, maybe they only have papers. They require people with a skill. So make sure you practice this, put this in your resume. The project that you're going to actually do at the end of this course, put it on GitHub. Make sure you publish it and send it to your employers. Those employers, they will check your work and they will verify you that you are good for that job.